right, and that was a fantastic job that you did.
Thank you.
And now we have some questions for you.
Sure.
And well, the first question is, how would you teach English to young students below the age of 5 to 6 who are actually beginners in English?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an actual kind of a funny question because I have an older sister who has 3 nephews.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have to be the cool uncle.
Oh.
And they are 5, 3, and 1 years old.
Okay.
So for kids, I learned very quickly that you have to make it fun for them, right?
That's right.
Also, if they're not having fun, they're not gonna listen to you.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Also, for people who are just learning English, they really need a lot of gestures and a lot of hints, right? So, for example, every time I say here, I do this. Repeat would be this. So a lot of these gestures go a long way to help people who are just starting out in English.
Yeah, I noticed that when you were doing the demo lesson.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dance. You kind of get used to it.
Yeah. All right. So the second question is, if a kid is having difficulties concentrating in class, what would you do to remedy the situation?
Okay. When I was in Japan and I was teaching, there are some students, they don't listen or they can't concentrate. First thing I do is I never blame the students.
Okay.
Sometimes it is your job as a teacher to make it fun for the students, right?
Okay.
So you have to see, am I doing something wrong? Should I do something better? So as a responsibility for a teacher, you have to always look at yourself first.
Okay.
And after, you try to encourage them a lot more. Sometimes students are shy, or I know that sometimes students are very smart, but they don't want to get things wrong, right?
Yeah.
So you always have to remind them that it's okay to make mistakes. That's how you learn. So always encourage them, and then also for students who they just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes first you ask for volunteers, and if they don't volunteer, sometimes you have to pick them. Always get them to interact and engage with the class.
Yeah.
So constant encouragement goes a long way, and sometimes you have to give a student a little push. Yeah.
Because I know you have a lot of experience with Asian students. So like for Chinese, Korean, and Japanese students, they're very timid in class, and sometimes they don't understand. They have a problem with this concentration.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good approach that you have with them. Okay. Question number 3.
Yep.
If you have a large class, the max being 3 kids at once, how would you divide that as your attention?
Okay. So first, I look at the lesson material, and if that lesson material allows me to engage all the students at once, like role playing, obviously I would do that. If not, again, I always want the students to be listening. Even if they might be doing this on the table,
Yes.
I want them to listen, right?
Yeah.
So I will, I would kind of let the students either volunteer first.
Okay.
If not, I will pick them and I'll encourage them to interact with the class, right? But it also has to do with making the class fun, right? If the class is fun, the students are probably going to engage. And for dividing attention, you really need to, as a teacher, to kind of divide your time wisely. Yeah. So something like that.
Yeah, that's a good teaching approach in real life. But online, when you have 3 kids learning from you behind the computer screen.
Oh, right.
When sometimes they are playing with their phone, Game Boys, and so how would you balance?
Of course,
attention?
online.
Yeah.
So obviously because I'm not there, sometimes they could hide. They don't know what I'm doing. They could be texting.
Yeah.
So when we're doing material, I have to keep them on their toes, and I would pick them in certain spots where they would only know the answer if they were listening.
Okay.
Yeah. So always keep them on their toes. Always pick students and get all of them to interact in the class.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. How would you teach adults and young kids differently?
Oh, okay. I actually teach adults too, so luckily. So for adults, it's more about grammar, a bit more specific details in terms of English, and there's a lot of critical thinking and discussion. So it's not just me doing listen and repeat, what is this words? I might actually ask them really tough questions where they have to relay that in English.
Oh, okay.
But with students, obviously they need to have a good foundation.
Yes.
So my role is to first teach him the foundation, vocabulary, really, really super simple grammar. lots of listening and repeating and pronunciation. That is the foundation you need to be successful as an English speaker, right?
Yep.
So for young students, of course, make it fun, be more energetic,
Yes,
obviously, and make sure as a teacher that you teach that foundation. And don't make it too hard. Yeah.
Understood.
Mhm.
Okay. Even with that in mind, how would you adapt to teach middle school kids?
Okay.
Those 9, those teenagers.
Yeah. So middle school students, there are two approaches. First, one approach is using what they like
Okay.
and in putting that into the lesson. So when I was doing the demo lesson, I asked the students what their favorite holiday,
Yes.
what do they like to eat, right? So obviously they have an answer.
Yes.
So I get them to kind of challenge themselves to, oh, I know this answer. I need to use English to kind of
Yes,
tell the
yes,
teacher,
yes.
right? So nothing too hard, but talk about topics they like and they want to, and just challenge and see with the foundation they have if they could answer just a bit more complicated questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what they like, what their favorite
Yeah.
the actors,
Yeah.
actors.
And with adults, I could probably talk about, so what do you think of the government, or what do you think of this new thing that happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for coming.
No worries.
We were more than happy to have Alan here. Alan is a teacher from Canada. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Perfect.